Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. Radiant City was the largest city on the continent. It wasn't easy to seal the entire perimeter of a city like that. With Hui Yuhao's intelligence, he immediately discovered a serious problem. Your Highness, do you mean that the Sun Moon Empire is trying to deal with all non-Sun Moon Empire teams in this tournament? Hui Yuhao furrowed his brow when he said this. His doubts had been answered. The greatest problem for the Tang sect now was their overall abilities and lack of manpower. They couldn't investigate on such a large scale like the Star Luo Empire. Hui Yuhao also believed that Shu Jojo wasn't lying, and the situation was only going to become more serious. Shu Jojo nodded and said, "It's highly possible. In addition, they aren't just targeting us. They are also trying to deal with the secret forces that have followed us on our journey here. For example, there's the Star Luo Empire, the Body Sect and Shrek Academy. We are all the elites of the various empires. Our team members even more so. By capturing all of us, it'll be a huge blow to the various empires. Furthermore, it also means something else if they dare to do this." Hui Yuhao's eyes flashed with a cold look. They are prepared for war, aren't they? Shu Jojo took in a deep breath. That's right. She seemed to be put in a spot as she muttered those two words. What did it mean if the Sun Moon Empire was prepared for war? It meant that they were going to invade the Heavenly Soul and Star Luo empires. It was going to be a big war. However, were the three empires of the continent prepared? Hui Yuhao took in a deep breath. He knew that at least the Tang sect wasn't prepared. Thank you, Your Highness, for delivering such valuable news to me. What are you going to do? After yesterday's negotiations, I believe you and Princess Wei Na have reached an agreement. Shu Jojo cursed in her heart. This sly fox. I've already said so much, but is not telling me his position. That's right, we've reached an agreement. If we want to break out, we must band together. Although there are only a few teams left, we are still considered quite familiar with one another. As long as Shrek Academy and the Tang sect, as well as both Wei Na's team and mine team up together, will become a force to reckon with. We've been investigating thoroughly. Radiant City is so huge, so it's very difficult to seal it completely. We should gather our strength and escape in a particular direction. However, there's another problem regarding the war. It seems like the Sun Moon Empire is prepared, but we are not. That's why we need to try to earn more time for ourselves. We can't just directly leave. We need to deal a larger blow to the Sun Moon Empire before we leave and slow them down. In this way, we'll have more time to prepare. Hui Yuhao was in awe. Her Highness's thought process is quite clear. Although she doesn't know the arrangements of the enemy, she knows what the critical thing is: stall our enemy. Yuhao, we've interacted several times, but I still am not familiar with your academy. Can you tell me what the strength of your academy is for this tournament? If your academy is willing to cooperate with us on this mission, it'll be much better. Hui Yuhao shook his head. Your Highness, we are representing the Tang sect this time. We are really unclear on the academy's arrangements. However, I can introduce you to our eldest senior sister in the inner courtyard of the academy. You can discuss the details with her. Shu Jojo seemed a little pensive. After a moment, she nodded and replied, "Sounds good. I'll need to trouble you then." Hui Yuhao smiled and thought to himself, sounds good. That's your purpose, isn't it? After this brief conversation, both parties left pleased. Hui Yuhao had obtained valuable information, while Shu Jojo also achieved her goal. At this point, the Tang sect's hall was getting more and more crowded. Wei Na had already done her best to heal Shu Sansha, and assured him that he could fight the Holy Ghost Church the next day. Zhong Lishuan also arrived with Wang Qiu'er. Zhong Lishuan was stunned when she saw princesses Wei Na and Jojo on the Tang sect side. Although she wasn't familiar with them, she had naturally been observing them. After all, they represented two different empires. And Wei Na also represented the Body sect. The Tang sect's hall was now packed. There was Bei Bei, Hui Yuhao and Wang Donga from the Tang sect, Zhong Lishuan and Wang Qiu'er from Shrek Academy, and the two princesses. The seven of them represented four different parties. Wei Na and Shu Jojo looked at each other. Shu Jojo nodded her head gently. Zhong Lishuan smiled and said, "It's really crowded in here. It's the semifinals tomorrow. Bei Bei, how are your preparations?" Bei Bei replied, "We've prepared everything that we need to. Tomorrow's fight will be very important. We'll do our best." Zhong Lishuan nodded slightly and pretended not to know the two princesses. She asked, "These two are?" Bei Bei rushed to introduce them to one another. After the three of them greeted one another, Shu Jojo seemed to turn a little anxious. She expressed her wish to converse in private with Zhong Lishuan. This time, Princess Wei Na also wanted to join in on the conversation. Zhong Lishuan didn't reject her request. The three of them borrowed one of the Tang sect's rooms and began to discuss matters with one another. The hall became much more quiet after they left. Only the three from the Tang sect and Wang Qiu'er remained. Bei Bei looked at Hu Yuhao and Wang Dong'er before he looked at Wang Qiu'er. He couldn't help but shake his head helplessly. He turned to Hu Yuhao and said, "Was Princess Jojo sincere earlier?" Hu Yuhao nodded slightly. He recounted everything Shu Jojo had said to him earlier. He didn't withhold any information, because Wang Qiu'er was around. After all, this was a matter that concerned both Shrek Academy and the Tang sect. Moreover, he already thought of her as a trustworthy friend after their many ordeals together. After hearing Hu Yuhao's report, Bei Bei turned serious. Wang Dong'er laughed coldly. "They are obviously trying to make use of us as messengers. Their real goal isn't to work with us, but with the academy." Whatever Wang Dong'er could tell, Hu Yuhao naturally could tell too. Bei Bei laughed and said, "This is normal. They have title Doluo following them, but we only have the few of us. No one will bother with us if things really escalate to a conflict between the truly strong individuals. However, they are not wrong to treat us as a part of the academy." The Sun Moon Empire deployed a few legions of soul engineers to mount a defensive line, with advanced ranked soul engineers to hold the fort. All the teams that left earlier must have been stopped by them. However, the weird thing is that they didn't seal all of Radiant City. They only sealed 3 sides, and left one side empty, the west side. It is the direction that we would take if we wanted to take the longest time to return to our academy. The information that Wang Qiu'er provided was very important. To some extent, Shrek Academy and the Tang sect were together. She didn't conceal any information and told Hu Yuhao everything. Hu Yuhao immediately retrieved a map of Radiant City. He had bought it when they first came to Radiant City for the exchange. He opened up the map to take a look at the surrounding geography of Radiant City. Radiant City was located in a good position. 3 of the sides that it faced were vast plains suitable for farming and training soldiers. It was only the west side that faced a mountain range, called, naturally enough, the Sun Moon Mountain Range. It wasn't considered too expansive, but it blocked the western flank of Radiant City. Although Radiant City wasn't surrounded by city walls, it wasn't too far-fetched to claim that it was constructed based on the mountain range. It was just that the other 3 sides of the city were too wide, and thus hardly anyone noticed the west side of the city when they came to Radiant City. Hu Yuhao furrowed his brow when he saw the map. Encircling 3 sides and leaving one side empty. In the art of war, this strategy is used to prevent enemies from fighting too desperately by deliberately leaving an opening for them. However, the Sun Moon Empire doesn't have to do this. Their goal should be to capture us all. Why would they leave an escape route for us? Furthermore, the geography of the mountain range is very complicated. It's ideal for hiding. Sealing the mountains will also be much more tedious than sealing the vast plains. Bei Bei was also looking at the map. He said, in addition, this mountain range is very close to Radiant City. There can't be soul beasts residing in it. It should be an ordinary mountain range. The few of them started to become very doubtful. Yu Hao is right. If they can keep us here, including the title Doluo, it'll be a true, critical blow to us. If I were the one leading such an operation, I'd do my best to ensure this happens. I would also try my best to capture all the title Doluo. As he finished speaking, Bei Bei stopped. His breathing had also quickened. As he looked into Hu Yuhao's eyes, they could see one another's fear. Hu Yuhao pointed to the Sun Moon Mountain Range on the map and said, "Then, let's make a bold guess. Not only is this mountain range not an escape route, but it might even be the path to death. They've intentionally left this path open for us, and are trying to make us think that they are leaving an escape route for us. Their aim is to draw us over. They are really scheming." Wang Qiu'er disagreed. That's only what you think. We've sent people to check out the mountain range. There's nothing wrong with it. Although there are a few troops there to guard the region, they won't pose a threat to us. The two of you might be overreacting. Hui Yuhao replied, perhaps. We can't check things out, and thus it might not be good for us to comment. However, our guess can be considered rational given the situation we are in. Chioa, who did the academy send here? Wang Chioa replied, there aren't many people from the academy, but they are the stronger ones. Elder Xian is here personally, along with another 4 elders from the Sea Gods Pavilion. Dean Xian Linus also here. There are a total of 6 titled Doluor from our academy. Including Elder Xian, we have 4 transcendent Doluor. After hearing her words, Hui Yuhao, Wang Donga and Bei Bei were all astonished. Although they knew that the academy would provide reinforcements, they hadn't expected the lineup to be so strong. Even Elder Xian was included, and there were 4 transcendent Doluor among the 6 titled Doluor. What did this mean? It meant that almost half the higher-ups of Shrek Academy were here. Only Dean Yang Xiaozhe was left in Shrek Academy to hold the fort. A warm feeling rose in their hearts. They were touched by the academy's regard for their safety. Wang Chioa followed by saying, we posit that the Sun Moon Empire left us an escape route on the west side, because Elder Xian was there to personally check it. He even scanned the entire mountain range from the sky before he came to his conclusion. It's unlikely that your guess is right. Bei Bei nodded and said, perhaps we're worrying too much. If Elder Xian checked it himself, there shouldn't be any problems. With Elder Xian's abilities, how could there be something wrong if he couldn't detect anything? Wang Donga also nodded slightly, agreeing with what he said. They trusted Elder Xian. Only Hui Yuhao seemed to be thinking of something. However, he didn't say anything. Zhong Lishuan snorted after she watched the 2 princesses leave. They must be daydreaming if they are trying to tie us together. Is the Sun Moon Empire stupid? Our academy and the Tang sect possess nearly all the outstanding disciples among the younger generation. Even if they dare to take the risk, we won't dare to. Elder Xian was right. It's important for everyone to return safely. Shrek Academy was neither a sect nor a country. They wouldn't let their students take risks for any reason. This was the greatest difference they had with the Star Luo Empire, Heavenly Soul Empire, and Body Sect. Bei Bei looked at Zhong Lishuan and seemed to ask her something with his eyes. Zhong Lishuan said, that bunch is pretty vicious. They want to attack the illustrious Virtue Hall and attempt to assassinate Xu Qianran. Xu Qianran has always been an aggressive person, and the Sun Moon Empire's emperor is going to kick the bucket soon. If Xu Qianran comes to rule the Sun Moon Empire, a war will soon break out. But if he's dead, there will be internal strife within the Sun Moon Empire. This will delay the war for some time, and give the various empires sufficient time to prepare. Hui Yuhao revealed an enlightened look, I see. However, they are indulging in fantasies. Xu Qianran is now the Prince Regent. I've met him before. He's a very ambitious person, and had a very eerie vibe about him. He has even pulled Jing Hongchen to his side. I believe even the Holy Ghost Church has been pulled to his side, as well. It's going to be very difficult to ambush and kill him. Furthermore, Xu Qianran lost his legs to an ambush. Don't you think he'll be very wary after that painful experience? I'm afraid that it would be very unlikely to be successful. Zhong Lishuan nodded and said, we agree on this. If they want to cause trouble, let them do it themselves. Let's just not participate. While it'll be good if they succeed, we won't be any worse off if they don't. Bei Bei asked, when are you planning to make a move? Zhong Lishuan said, as I didn't express my interest to join, they didn't mention any detailed timing. However, I believe they might delay it until after the tournament if we do participate. After all, the tournament has not ended yet. If we don't join now, they might act earlier. They won't take our safety into account, either. When I mentioned that I was going to opt out, they suggested that we provide support instead. I didn't agree to that, either. That's why their attitude changed. They've started to treat us as enemies. Bei Bei said, they have no choice but to do so. After all, it concerns the national security of both empires. Compared to the interests of an empire, individual lives are nothing. Why would they treat us as well as the academy? Let's not care about them and continue with the tournament. When it ends, we'll leave just like Elder Xian has arranged. Okay. Zhong Lishuan nodded. Suddenly, Her expression turned slightly weird and she said, "Bei Bei, are you confident tomorrow?" Bei Bei was stunned, and slowly shook his head. Tomorrow, they would be facing the Holy Ghost sect. How could they be confident when Tang Ya was in the Holy Ghost Church? It was an evil soul master sect, even more mysterious than the body sect. In the previous rounds, only a few people from the Holy Ghost Church competed. They had used their strong evil soul master abilities to advance all the way to the semifinals. Zhong Lishuan hesitated for a while before she said, "Even though all of you are representing the Tang sect, Elder Xian also told us that safety is the first priority. Nothing is more important than life. All of you are the future of the academy and the Tang sect. Winning the tournament is no longer important under the circumstances we are in right now. You must remain alive if you want to snatch Xiao Ya back." Bei Bei subconsciously lowered his head as he saw the glow in Zhong Lishuan's eyes. He gently nodded, but didn't make a sound. Zhong Lishuan suddenly became agitated. "You mule, go die if you want to." After she finished speaking, she turned around and left, slamming the door behind her. She understood Bei Bei too well. From Bei Bei's actions, she could tell that he wouldn't heed her advice. Bei Bei's expression twisted as he sighed. At times, feelings couldn't be forced. He knew that Zhong Lishuan was acting in his best interests. However, he only had Tang Ya in mind. If someone had to be blamed, Elder Mu was the one. However, Elder Mu had already passed away. Zhong Lishuan also wanted to stay true to her promise. Bei Bei was afraid to face her. Wang Qiuer looked at Hu Yuhao and said, "I'll wait for you in the finals. No matter what plans you have, I hope to have a good fight with you when we meet." Hu Yuhao laughed bitterly. "Is it interesting bullying a cripple?" Wang Qiuer's body jerked slightly, and her lips twisted. She didn't say anything else, turning around and leaving. Wang Donga lifted her hands and pinched his back. Hu Yuhao coughed and said to the depressed Bei Bei, "Eldest senior, let's discuss our team. To us, the Heavenly Soul Empire and Star Luo Empire's plan might be our best cover." Bei Bei lifted his head, and his expression returned to normal. He nodded gently. Hu Yuhao smiled and said, "After the semifinals, the second day will be the final of the underground tournament. The Holy Ghost Church will also be present. We should let the two princesses know about this matter. If they want to make a move, that will be the best day." Bei Bei laughed. "Maybe the two princesses won't be the ones to delay the Sun Moon Empire, but us." Over these last few days, Radiant City's atmosphere had become more and more tense. The Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament was about to reach its semifinal stage. At the same time, the three underground organizations were also organizing the finals of the Radiant City Elite Soul Engineering Tournament. All the tea houses and restaurants were discussing the two tournaments. Evidently, the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament was more attractive. However, everyone was also attracted to the underground tournament, as they were allowed to bet on it. Through the underground tournaments, the three underground organizations benefited greatly. The semifinal lineup of the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament was as follows. In the morning, the Heavenly Dragon sect was fighting Shrek Academy. In the afternoon, the Tang sect was fighting the Holy Ghost sect. These were two semifinal rounds with many talking points. Whose dragon-type martial soul was stronger, Yu Qinlong's Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon, or Wang Qiuer's Golden Dragon? Under what circumstances would they meet in the tournament? This was the biggest talking point of the semifinal round. Which dragon was stronger? Because of Long Aotian's impressive showing, Wang Qiuer's reputation dipped a little. Even though she hadn't fought Long Aotian, many believed that she was weaker than him. Of course, there were loyal supporters of Wang Qiuer as well. In their eyes, the ravishing, cool, and elegant Wang Qiuer was the best in this tournament. As long as no one defeated her in a duel, she would always be the strongest. Many people fought as they tried to debate the question of who between Wang Qiuer and Long Aotian was stronger. The second semi-final round was touted to be the most intense match in the entire tournament. Those who were sharp could tell what kind of existence the Holy Ghost Church was. It was made up of evil soul masters. However, the Sun Moon Empire had been restraining all discussion of the Holy Ghost sect. Since the Sun Moon Empire dared to let the Holy Ghost sect compete, they had naturally made their own arrangements. As a result, it was illegal to even discuss the Holy Ghost Church in Radiant City. Even so, everyone still wondered how strong an evil soul master sect was. If they emerged as the eventual winners, the Sun-Moon Empire would become a laughingstock. At the very least, it would be a black mark on the entire history of the tournament. What had Xu Qianran thought? That history was written by the victors. If he could rule over the entire continent, what black mark could he not remove? This fact alone was why he dared to let the Holy Ghost sect compete. There were some quite intense objections even within the Sun-Moon Empire. However, Xu Qianran wasn't bothered. After he curbed some of them with violence, the Holy Ghost sect managed to complete their registration. Nobody liked an evil soul master sect. That was why the Tang sect became the hot topic in this second semifinal round. The Tang sect had defeated the Snow Demon sect, which had possessed the seven-ringed soul sage Long Aotian, and a few soul emperors. They had fully demonstrated their abilities. To many spectators, the Tang sect was a huge treasure vault. They always delivered something new to win in each round. Could they defeat their opponents and achieve eventual victory? It was difficult to tell. However, it was probably their only hope. From their showing in the quarterfinals, it was evident that their abilities in the later rounds were greater than what they had shown in the earlier rounds. If the Tang sect couldn't stop the Holy Ghost sect, the Holy Ghost sect was likely to be the eventual winners. That was why many people supported the Tang sect secretly. They hoped the Tang sect could defeat the evil Soul Master sect. The semifinals of the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master started under such an atmosphere. The weather today was a little gloomy. Clouds filled the sky, and it felt a little oppressive. It seemed like it might rain at any time. If it were any other normal time, no one would have left their houses in such weather unless they had something important to attend to. However, it was different today. In the early morning, Radiant City was already bustling. There were huge crowds gathering towards the suburbs. The Sun-Moon Empire's military, which was in charge of maintaining order, had already begun their job at the tournament venue in the wee hours of the morning, trying to prevent a stampede. Today, there would be a record-breaking crowd. There were simply too many people. It was impossible to see the end of the crowd. When there were 10,000 people, it would seem as if the crowd was infinite, but right now, there were far more than 10,000 people. Several 100,000 spectators were crowding around the tournament stage. Those furthest from the stage were a good 2 kilometers away. They had to rely on a telescope to see what was going on. Even so, everything still wasn't clear to them. 4 teams entered the venue simultaneously. All of them had gone through several rounds to be able to be present today. It was already the highest honor to be among the semifinalists. However, only one team would win. Who would be the victor? No one was thinking about this question yet. The most important question right now was, which teams would qualify today? The Tang sect and Shrek Academy were finally seated together. Even though Dai Huabin, Wu Feng and the others didn't like the Tang sect, they were even more unwilling to get close to evil soul masters, or their direct opponents, the Heavenly Dragon sect. Shrek Academy came without their teacher. Only their eldest senior sister, Zhong Lishuan, was here with them. Everyone looked very serious. They were going to fight a strong opponent today. There were 8 people on the Holy Ghost sect's team. From her figure, it was easy to recognize that Tang Ya was seated in the front. Behind her, every member of the Holy Ghost Church had covered themselves up with huge black cloaks. The lady furthest back gave Hu Yuhao the familiar feeling he had experienced earlier. When the Tang sect came to the waiting area, the members of the Holy Ghost sect shot them cold and eerie looks. On the Tang sect side, everyone was already in their best condition apart from Shusansha, who was still a little pale. They were under more pressure than Shrek Academy in today's semifinals. Against evil soul masters, it wasn't just about victory or failure anymore. Their lives were on the line. This was also why Zhong Lishuan had warned Bei Bei to take care of their own safety. Before they moved off in the morning, Bei Bei had also warned his teammates. However, were they able to control themselves when they really fought? No one was sure about this. For victory and the glory of Tang sect, Shrek's 7 monsters were very determined. So what if they were evil soul masters? They'd beaten evil soul masters before. The stage had already been repaired and returned to its former appearance. To prepare for the semifinals, it hadn't just been rebuilt. It was also reinforced with steel plates. Even the protective barriers were rearranged so that they wouldn't be damaged like they were before. The 20,000-strong military division in charge of maintaining order today were all fully equipped with weapons and helmets. No matter the rank of the soldiers, everyone from the military was wearing the same white armor. The only difference was in terms of patterns. Officers of different ranks had different patterns on their armor. For the highest-ranking officers, there was an additional feather on their helmets. The color of the feather also varied depending on the rank of the officer. Order was maintained through this military presence. Anyone who dared to defy the military was courting death. On the main stage, Xu Qianran had already arrived. Many officials were there with him. The mysterious imperial tutor was also here. He sat to Xu Qianran's left, while Zhu Zi sat to Xu Qianran's right. Xu Qianran appeared very relaxed today, wearing a smile on his face. The sun had just risen. Even though the weather wasn't very good, that didn't seem to affect his mood. Xu Qianran smiled after receiving a cup of tea from Zhu Zi. Zhu Zi, who do you think will win in the morning round? Zhu Zi was startled and slowly shook her head. She replied, I don't dare to make any wild guesses. However, I believe that the leaders of both teams will be crucial in determining the victor. I've heard that the both of them are the strongest dragon-type soul masters in this tournament. Wang Qiuer is the backbone of Shrek's team. If she loses, I'm afraid Shrek's fighting strength will drop greatly. It's also roughly the same for the Heavenly Dragon sect. Yu Qianlong's abilities seem better than the rest of his teammates. He's also the next sect leader of the Heavenly Dragon sect. He holds a high status in his sect. Xu Qianran nodded satisfactorily and said, then let's guess, will they meet in the individual elimination round? Zhu Zi smiled and said, I shall make a guess then. Xu Qianran laughed and said, all right, you can guess first. However, what's our stake going to be? Zhu Zi shook her head and answered, I won't bet. I'm only making a guess to entertain your highness. Everything that I have belongs to you. What can I use to bet against you? After hearing her words, Xu Qianran was in an extremely good mood. He opened his arms to hug her waist. You are very right. No wonder you are mine, Zhu Zi. Tell me, what's your guess? Zhu Zi said, I think they'll meet in the first individual elimination round. Oh? Xu Qianran was a little stunned as he looked at her. He asked, why? Zhu Zi replied, they are both very proud individuals. They need a fair fight to prove themselves. I think this is especially true for Yu Qianlong. Wang Qiuer's individual reputation has been outstanding in this tournament. She's also the first to compete in every fight. He's a man with a dragon-type martial soul, too. There's no way he won't compete against her. If Wang Qiuer doesn't fight first, Shrek's momentum will be very weak. She relies on momentum to fight, and I'm sure she'll want to continue that. That's why I think they'll meet in the first fight. Great. Intelligent. It seems like I don't have to worry about passing the military to you, Xu Qianran nodded as he smiled. Zhu Zi was delighted. She wanted to bow, but Xu Qianran stopped her. Zhu Zi, you must remember this. You are no longer my subordinate. You are my wife. You don't have to bow to me. Didn't I tell you that before? Everything that you have belongs to me. I've also treated you as an important part of my life. No matter what I give you, you deserve it. Moreover, I must help you fulfill your wish. You are still inexperienced, but it's fine for you to be a lieutenant now. Work hard. Once you gain some merit, you'll soon control the entire military. I'll be relieved to hand the military over to you. Thank you, Your Highness. Xu Qianran smiled and replied, all right. Let's watch the fight. It's about to start. In the waiting area, Wang Qiuer was sitting in the main seat for Shrek's team. Her back was very straight, and she had a dignified posture. She shut her eyes and rested for a while. At this point, Yu Qianlong stood up and walked towards her. After seeing what he was doing, Dai Huobin suddenly stood up behind Wang Qiuer. There was a cold look in his eyes. Sit down, Wang Qiuer instructed him. Dai Huobin appeared quite stern, but he still obediently sat down. The Tang sect was seated next to Shrek Academy. When they saw how Wang Qiuer had managed to tame Dai Huobin with just her words, even Hu Yuhao was very impressed. Indeed, there was always someone more dominant. This wasn't just based on abilities. It seemed like Dai Huobin had been truly won over by Wang Qiuer. Yu Qianlong stopped 3 meters away from Wang Qiuer. Wang Qiuer. As he looked at her, his eyes shone. He didn't even glance at Dai Huobin. His attention was completely captured by Wang Qiuer. She was too beautiful. The dark green uniform that she wore accentuated her fair complexion. Her flowing, powder blue hair was like a waterfall behind her back. She didn't have any flaws. Although her eyes were shut, her long eyelashes still curled upward. It was a captivating sight. Yu Qianlong believed that he was a very composed person. However, he felt his breathing getting faster and faster as he came closer to Wang Qiu'er. What? Wang Qiu'er asked coldly. Yu Qianlong asked, do you dare to fight with me? What are we betting with? Wang Qiu'er asked in the same frosty tone. Yu Qianlong said, I'll be the first to compete in the individual elimination round. I hope to fight you. If I lose, I'll join Shrek Academy. If you lose, you must join the Heavenly Dragon sect. Do you dare to take this bet? Wang Qiu'er revealed a scornful look. Shrek Academy doesn't accept trash. What did you say? Everyone from the Heavenly Dragon sect stood up. They were all infuriated. Yu Qianlong lifted his hand and gestured towards his teammates. He suppressed some of their rage and asked, are you scared? Wang Qiu'er couldn't even bother to continue talking to him anymore. She shut her eyes and didn't make another sound. Zhong Lishuan, who was standing behind Team Shrek, stood up. Yu Qianlong, don't try to take advantage of us like that. We are Shrek, an open-minded academy. We don't restrict our students. The Heavenly Dragon sect is a sect. Do you think the conditions are fair in the bet you are suggesting? Yu Qianlong was stunned. He wasn't intentionally trying to take advantage of them. He was just being direct. What do you suggest then? Zhong Lishuan said, all right, I shall make the decision for Qiu'er. If she loses, she'll join the Heavenly Dragon sect after she graduates. If you lose, you'll be her servant for 3 years. This is only fair. Yu Qianlong hesitated after hearing her words. He was the future sect leader of the Heavenly Dragon sect. It would be too much for him to take if he lost. Wang Qiu'er also opened her eyes wide after hearing Zhong Lishuan's words. They were filled with surprise. Yu Qianlong was close to her. When he saw her captivating eyes, he unwittingly said, all right, I agree. Wang Qiu'er was too beautiful. She was so beautiful that he couldn't help himself. Wang Qiu'er stood up and turned her head to look at Zhong Lishuan, but Zhong Lishuan just nodded at her. Wang Qiu'er was in a bit of a daze. She still clearly remembered what Zhong Lishuan had said to her before. Qiu'er, you should know that you can't interfere in Hu Yuhao and Wang Dong's relationship. There are good guys in this world. Why do you have to give up the entire forest for one tree? There'll be opportunities in the future. I'll pull some strings for you. Eldest senior sister, why don't you find a guy for yourself, then? I made a vow. With her intelligence, she understood why Zhong Lishuan had accepted this bet on her behalf. Yu Qianlong was tall and burly. His looks were decent too, and his abilities were strong. He didn't seem to be inferior to Hu Yuhao at all. It was a pity that Zhong Lishuan didn't understand. Her relationship with Hu Yuhao wasn't so simple. There were things that couldn't be changed. Even if I win, you don't have to be my servant. Just end the match, Wang Qiu'er said. Yu Qianlong was stunned. As he studied Wang Qiu'er's cold and indifferent look, there was a weird feeling in his chest. In the Heavenly Dragon sect, he was a leading figure who was respected by all. The colder Wang Qiu'er acted towards him, the greater his desire to make her submit to him grew. In terms of overall abilities, Yu Qianlong didn't think his sect was inferior to Shrek. They might even be better. However, the Heavenly Dragon sect's problem was similar to Shrek Academy's. As the team leader, his cultivation was far superior to those of his teammates. He was unsure of his team's chances in the group round. Although Shrek's individual abilities weren't great either, they had shown 2 martial soul fusion skills during their last team round. Those were martial soul fusion skills. One was a control type, and the other was an assault type fusion skill. Along with their weird time controller, Shrek's team was indeed quite strong. The Heavenly Dragon sect wasn't confident of winning in the team round. Since this was the case, they should be more generous. As long as they beat Wang Qiu'er in this round, she would join their sect in the future. When that happened. As he finished thinking, Yu Qianlong revealed an arrogant smile on his face. Okay, we'll do as you request. We'll decide victory in this fight. If you win, we'll concede defeat. A man is always ready to give and take. So what if I become your servant? If you lose, you'll join us. That'll be fair. Yu Qianlong acted very manly. He was a straightforward person, and gave off a very mighty feeling. Wang Qiuer nodded at him before returning to her position and shutting her eyes. One fight to decide it all. When everyone in the resting area heard about this, they thought that it was a very childish arrangement. Both teams had toiled to reach this stage, but they wanted to end this semi-final match with just one duel. It seemed a little irrational. However, they also realized that it was a good method after thinking about it for a while. By using this method, this duel was likely to be very intense. The staff members in the resting area went to report the decision to their higher-ups. It was the first time in the history of this tournament that such a simple, but crude method would be used to settle the result in a semi-final round. If they were any other teams, such a method was unlikely to be used. The rest of the team's members would likely reject the suggestion. However, Wang Qiuer and Yu Qianlong held absolute authority in their respective teams. Their teammates wouldn't object. One fight to decide it all. Fierce. It was time for the duel. On stage, Jingzhon walked out towards the center of the stage. He had just received the news. I can't believe they thought of this. It's good though. At least I'll be under less pressure. I can prepare more for the semi-final match in the afternoon. Without a doubt, the clash between the Tang sect and the Holy Ghost Church was the more important semi-final round. Semi-finals, first round. Shrek Academy versus the Heavenly Dragon sect. Competing members from both parties, please enter the waiting area. Jingzhon shouted, as loud as ever. His voice echoed out through the sound-amplifying Soul tool. When only one member from each team appeared, the spectators were stunned. What was going on? Weren't there supposed to be 7 members from each team? Yu Qianlong and Wang Qiuer didn't even enter the waiting area. They jumped up on the stage at the same time and walked out to Jingzhon, demonstrating their resolve. Although Jingzhon had already received the news earlier, he was still shocked. They are really going to do it. Young people nowadays are really able to handle pressure. I wouldn't have dared to do this in the past. First semi-final round. Shrek Academy versus the Heavenly Dragon sect. After discussions between both sides, they've decided to use a duel to determine the victor for this round. Shrek Academy and the Heavenly Dragon sect will be sending their team leaders out to fight. When Jingzhon announced this strange arrangement, there was a huge commotion among the spectators. However, there were only a few who were disappointed. Most people started to get very excited. Xu Qianran and Zhu Zi weren't the only ones guessing how this semi-final round between Wang Qiuer and Yu Qianlong was going to pan out. Almost all the spectators were making the same guesses, especially Wang Qiuer's supporters. The two teams were using a duel to decide the winner. This was undoubtedly very attractive to the spectators. It was the only way Wang Qiuer and Yu Qianlong would be able to fight one another in their best condition. The winner would earn the title of the best dragon-type Soul Master in this tournament. Although Bei Bei's martial soul was also a dragon, he had rarely appeared in the previous rounds. His performances weren't very eye-catching, either. There were very few spectators who remembered him. Wang Qiuer will win. Someone started shouting among the crowd. His voice made the spectators even more excited. Wang Qiuer will win. The Golden Dragon Lady will win. Hysterical screams soon engulfed the entire spectator stands. There were too many people who adored Wang Qiuer. Wang Qiuer was even given a scare by the huge sound waves that echoed out. She hadn't known that she commanded such a respected position in the hearts of the Sun Moon Empire's citizens. After all, she was representing Shrek Academy. Shrek Academy was the archenemy of the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. It was unbelievable that she was so popular even under such a circumstance. Apart from her beauty and cold demeanor, her simple and brutally aesthetic fighting style captivated everyone. Yu Qianlong didn't feel depressed because of all the shouting and screaming. Rather, a passionate gaze glowed in his eyes. His thinking was evidently different from an ordinary person's. Wang Qiuer's popularity only made him more even excited. He was thinking how great it would be if Wang Qiuer could become his woman. The feeling of making everyone's goddess his woman was. Finishing his train of thought, Yu Qianlong revealed a smile on his face. Just as everyone was cheering on his opponent, he smiled instead. Jingzhon thought it was a little weird, and couldn't help but shudder. I really can't understand young people these days. On the main stage, Xu Qianran looked a little gloomy. He was also very strong, and ruled the entire empire. He naturally had the same thought as Yu Qianlong, and might even be more extreme than him. However, he was tormented because he couldn't do anything even if he could make such a lady submit to him. This torment caused him to grab hard onto his wheelchair handle. If he couldn't own it, then he would rather destroy it. Xu Qianran revealed a ferocious look in his eyes right then. Both parties, please get ready. Since this was a duel, and both parties were already known to each other, Jing Zhon skimmed over a lot of the administrative process. He opened his arms wide and pointed to the two sides of the stage. Wang Chua turned and walked away, her face still as cold as ever. Even though she was moved by the screams, she soon regained her composure. While she was very cold, Yu Qianlong's eyes were instead burning with excitement. A strong fighting will rose in his heart. Wang Chua was a tough character. To win her over, defeating her was the first step. If he couldn't even beat her in a duel, there wasn't any meaning to the other matters. Part 1 end here.